In 1945, the Second World War ended with victory for the Allies. Cities lay in ruins, millions were dead, and the world was desperate for peace. But peace was fragile. Just as one war ended, another began, not with bullets and bombs, but with suspicion, spies, and the terrifying threat of nuclear destruction. This was the Cold War, a global struggle between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. A battle of ideas, capitalism versus communism, freedom versus control. After World War II, Europe was split. The West, backed by America and its allies, supported democracy and free markets. The East, dominated by the Soviet Union, pushed communist rule and government control. In 1946, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill warned of an Iron Curtain dividing Europe. It wasn't just a metaphor, it became real. The world was split into two camps, and both were building weapons. In 1949, the Soviets tested their first nuclear bomb. By the 1950s, the United States and USSR could destroy each other many times over. It was a standoff called mutually assured destruction. Neither side dared to strike. So they fought in other ways. The Cold War turned hot in places far from Washington or Moscow. 1950, Korea. North Korea, backed by China and the USSR, invaded the South. The US and United Nations fought back. The result? A bloody stalemate, and a divided Korea that remains split to this day. 1950s to 70s, Vietnam. The US tried to stop communism in Southeast Asia. It ended in failure, with millions dead and America shaken at home. 1962, Cuba. The world held its breath. The Soviet Union placed nuclear missiles on Cuba, just 90 miles from US shores. For 13 tense days, the planet stood on the brink of nuclear war. President Kennedy demanded the missiles be removed. Soviet leader Khrushchev backed down. The crisis ended, but the fear never quite left. The Cold War wasn't just on Earth. It soared into space. In 1957, the Soviets launched Sputnik, the first satellite. In 1961, they sent Yuri Gagarin into orbit. In 1969, the US put a man on the moon. This wasn't just science. It was power, prestige, and propaganda. Back on the ground, both sides built massive arsenals of missiles, submarines, and warheads. The arms race became an obsession. While the West embraced consumerism, the East lived under strict control. In East Germany, people were forbidden from leaving. So, in 1961, the Berlin Wall was built, a symbol of division, not just between nations, but between freedom and fear. Many tried to escape, some made it. Many didn't. By the 1980s, the Soviet Union was cracking. A long war in Afghanistan, a crumbling economy, and increasing resistance from its people strained the system. Then came Mikhail Gorbachev. He introduced glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. Reforms meant to modernize the USSR. Instead, they accelerated its collapse. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. Crowds celebrated as East and West Germans reunited. In 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved. 15 new nations emerged. The Cold War was over. The Cold War lasted nearly 45 years. No shots were fired between the US and USSR directly. But millions died in proxy wars. Trillions were spent. The world lived in fear. It left a lasting legacy. Thousands of nuclear weapons still exist. Many international tensions today have Cold War roots. And the struggle between authoritarianism and freedom? Still ongoing. But the Cold War also taught us a powerful lesson. That dialogue, diplomacy, and understanding can stop even the most dangerous conflicts from turning into disaster. It was a war fought in shadows. But its impact still shapes the light of our world today.